Hi plant friends, today is an unboxing and a review of Orchidmart.ca. Looks like a fairly new company. I saw a video on YouTube of someone doing an unboxing. It was in a different language, but the plants look good, so I thought I'd take a chance and place an order. Let's dig into this order. They have an Instagram account, but they weren't tagged in a lot of pictures, so I don't have an example of many orders that people have placed to see what their plants look like. On their website, I noticed they have some orchids that are already in stock, but they also offer pre-order. For example, they currently have a pre-order that's currently running from April 1st to April 30th. They estimate that they might not get the shipment in their hands until May 10th. So you do have to wait a little bit when you order. It's almost the end of April and some of the plants are already sold out, which is a good sign as a new person coming to this website to see that others are taking advantage of their sales. One of the things I also noticed on their website, the pre-order plants are discounted. I feel this is a great opportunity to get my hands on some plants at a good price. In this order, I ordered 5 plants. We're going to take a detailed look at each plant as well as the roots. Since these are fresh imports, they do come bare rooted. I placed this order back in their March pre-order. After a couple of weeks, I received a notification that the orchids have arrived in Canada and they're sorting and will send me a tracking number once it's available. Once I received the tracking number, the plants arrived the next day, which was quite nice. They're already stressed from being imported, and to be stressed even longer in Canada Post, that would have been detrimental. So I'm glad that the package arrived the next day. On the website, they have some plants that are described as in spike, which is nice. Not mandatory for me because I'm patient and I will wait for the plants to bloom, but it's nice to see that some of them are in fact in spike. The plants are nicely packaged and well secured in the box. Wow, take a look at this beauty. I was not expecting this at all. Wow, this baby is in full spike and it has a lot of spikes too. Wonderful. It's a Phal hieroglyphica. This Phal hieroglyphica is quite impressive. I'm glad I took the risk and purchased some plants from this seller. Orchids are packed in a temporary nursery pot with some sphagnum moss. The sphagnum moss is slightly damp. The leaves are looking really nice and there's about 5 or 6 spikes on this plant. Some of the spikes are branching. I can't wait to get into the roots. Here's another plant that's in spike and it's very fragrant. The name of this one is Falchayata Stacy 607. I paid about $26 for this plant on the pre-order, so it was slightly discounted off the regular price. Plant friends, the roots are already looking great. There's one more left in the box. I ordered a total of 5 orchids. On their website, not all orchids are pre-ordered. They do have orchids that are locally grown. I selected the Foul Tabasco Tex from the locally grown section on their website. This one was $38, and look at those leaves, nice, thick, and succulent. This is exactly how I like to see my phals. Okay, plant friends, let's get into the roots and see what it looks like. This one is a Foul Tabasco Tex, and you can see I've included a picture of the flower. Isn't the flower fantastic? It reminds me of a Bellina. This plant was $38 and locally grown. The sphagnum moss was fairly moist, so the roots are well hydrated, but I will wash this down with a little bit of hydrogen peroxide. Next, we've got Foul Linden Mix Zebra 823. This one was about $23, which is fantastic. It was part of their pre-order, so it was at a discounted price, and the flower on this one is great as well. Look at these roots. This one has 6 leaves and a nice established root system. I'm hoping through the travel in transit there will be no setback on this plant. Next is Foul Brother Ambo Passion. I also paid about $23 for this one. It was also part of the pre-order pricing. I selected this one for the flower. It's mixed with Ambonensis, so you can see the resemblance in the flower. Plant friends, for an import, the roots are looking pretty good. Again, I'm going to soak it in hydrogen peroxide. But I have to say I'm quite happy with this order, and there's a little spike here, so hopefully if there's no setback, maybe later on in the warmer months we'll have a bloom. Let's take a closer look at Foul Chayetta Stacy 607. Plant friends, this one is so fragrant. As I'm looking at it right now, it's just filling the air with wonderful fragrance. Sort of smell like tropical fruits, maybe a bit of peach. This one was about $26, and again it was in the pre-order. Now look at these roots. Oh my gosh, so healthy and well established. No wonder the leaves are so nice and thick and succulent, and the flowers are just holding on throughout all that import and transit. Plant friends, Foul Hieroglyphica. This one was about $29, and look at this beauty. There's a lot of spikes, and the flowers are so attractive. It really pulls you in. Now this one, the leaves are quite thin and it has multiple spikes. So in my mind, this is the one I'm most concerned about. Those thin leaves don't hang on to a lot of moisture, and she's got a lot of spike, so she needs a lot of energy. The root system is fair. It could be a little bit more robust, but with being an import, I am happy with this. I've decided to pot these up in orchid bark, so it's going to be a mixture of bark, charcoal, and chunky perlite. It's going to be a nice chunky mixer to allow for a lot of airflow around the roots. To get these babies ready for potting, I'm just going to rinse a few of the roots in a hydrogen solution mixture and clean off any dead roots I might find. Plant friends, remember not to get any water in the crown of your orchids because this could lead to crown rot. I'm using the Better Grow orchid potting mix. I like this one. It has some chunky orchid bark in there. There's charcoal and there's chunky perlite as well. And then I'm going to shake in a bit of Osmocote slow release fertilizer. Mix it up nice and well. Now, one of the things that you can do is soak your orchid bark before potting up. I'm going to soak my orchids after potting them up, but you're going to notice there's going to be a lot of debris and sediment that will wash off the fir bark when I do the soaking. I've decided to use clear pots for these plants. I normally like the clay pots, but I'm slowly transitioning over to plastic. One of the things I like about the plastic pots is that you can see the roots in the pot. It tells you how much moisture is in the pot, but you can also see the roots and it will give you an indication on when to water. For watering, I'll water the orchids once a week, but I want to make sure that the media is completely dry before watering. And I look at the roots. If they're gray, I know that they need water. If it's green, then I know that there's still some moisture in the pot. It's not completely dry yet, and I can hold off on watering. Although I've already added slow release fertilizer to the mix for the first soaking, I'm adding a very weak solution of fertilizer. I'm going to let these orchids soak for about 15 to 20 minutes. I find this to be such an important step, especially when the bark is dry, to soak it as well, to give some humidity in the pot. With the dry bark, it can just suck all the moisture from the roots. Now that the orchids are done soaking, I'm gonna let them dry off for a little bit. You can see a lot of sediment in that water that's left behind. The water has a lot of debris in it, especially for the first soaking for the orchid bark. It's going to take a couple of flushings before the water looks normal. To get rid of the excess water, I'm going to let these dry for a couple of hours. One of the things that I also like about these clear plastic pot is the slits at the sides. That's going to allow for a lot of air movements around the roots. One of the things I'm going to watch for the next couple of weeks is to see how quickly these plants are drying out. If I feel that they're drying out too fast, I'll opt to add some sphagnum moss to the top to retain more humidity around the roots. Plant friends, I'm happy with this order. So I ordered the Zygopetalum from their April pre-order. That's been on my wish list for a while. Also, the Foul Joy Fairy Tale has been on my wish list. I've not seen this in a long time, so I ordered 2 of those. $25.60 for this beauty in the pre-order. Can't go wrong. I had to order that. Since ordering, the plant has been sold out. It's a popular one. Thanks for watching, plant friends. I hope you enjoyed this unboxing and review of Orchidmart.ca. It's not a sponsored video, but I wanted to explore and see what's available for us in the Canadian market when it comes to phals. Phals are my favorite, so I'm always exploring for new vendors.